Welcome to the Rowe Report, a podcast that brings you the latest news, exclusive interviews, and valuable insights from the region's top real estate leaders. And now, our host, Elizabeth Rowe.
Hey, welcome back to the Rowe Report, where we help agents like you think, feel, and act like a pro. I'm your host, Elizabeth Rowe, broker and owner of Rowe Real Estate.
And my name is Adam Robison. I'm the studio partner with Business RadioX, and with their partnership, we've launched Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX, and we're so excited to have Elizabeth Rowe right here on our airwaves.
Oh, yes, I'm excited to bring you some good content.
Oh, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. So today, we actually have a pretty prominent roofing contractor on with us, right?
Yes.
Okay, so from a new agent point of view, what are some special considerations that need to be taken when I'm listing a new property or looking at a new property for a listing? What are some things I need to be thinking about?
Well, I'll tell you, Adam, one of the number one things that can kill a deal super quick are roofing issues. Mm-hmm. It's one of the most costly repairs, and it's really something that isn't, you don't get any training on. A lot of people think that going to real estate school, you learn about houses and you learn about the ins and outs of how a transaction goes and that sort of thing, but we don't. Really, the real estate classes, they teach you how to protect the public and some basic fundamentals, right? And so, for example, when I got into real estate, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know about homes themselves, And so I would actually, when I would schedule an inspection for a buyer, I would go in, I would meet the inspector. I don't recommend this, by the way, but I would go in, I would meet the inspector out at the property and spend 2.5 hours and just watch what they were looking at and learn. And when I had a question about, what's a pressure release valve on this hot water heater thing, and they would explain it to me. And so I think that really it's important that agents today understand the mechanisms of basic home ownership in regards to maintenance, repairs, things like that. For example, with roofing, right? Mm-hmm. So because it's such a big issue that comes up in transactions, I really feel like agents are going to be better equipped to, if they're working with a buyer, to go to the listing agent and say, hey, this is what came back in the inspection, this is what the roofer said. And instead of, as the buyer's agent, thinking, oh gosh, I don't have any idea what that means, or, is this a big deal, is this a small deal, what am I going to do? It's a lot easier, and it's better from a negotiating standpoint to really understand where you stand with that issue, so that you can then go to the other agent and better negotiate on the behalf of your client.
Okay, that makes so much sense. Now, I was talking to another professional the other day that deals with cleanup at properties after disasters and whatnot. They were talking about roofing damage due to hail and the unique weather that we have in this area. Yes. Is that why it's one of those things that can kill a deal so quickly?
That is one of the really big issues, because it's something that seems to happen more often, so we see more of it. But also I think that there are homeowners out there that don't understand the needs for regular maintenance with things like sealing around vents, plumbing, things like, just things like that, to where water intrusion happens. And any insurance agency or a handyman will tell you that one of the number one most destructive things for a property is water.
My goodness.
Yeah. So that's definitely one of the big things, is the weather related type stuff, and then also just lack of homeowner education.
Okay. Wow, that's good stuff. So if I'm a new agent and I've got a lead on a new property, what conversations, or who should I be having conversations with, just to make sure that my client and the potential seller are protected and that all of our interests are covered?
Yes. So one of the tactics that a lot of listing agents use, the good ones anyway, is they oftentimes will suggest to have the property pre-inspected, or have someone come look at the major things that they might be, become problematic. So for example, on a listing appointment, if I go and I ask how old the roof is, and if they say that it's more than X years old, I'm going to be cued in to know that, hey, when was the last time somebody took a look at that, right? Yeah. Because there's nothing worse than negotiating on the front end with a buyer and saying, okay, well, we'll take X amount of dollars, and then you come back and you have to renegotiate because of surprises.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's really where it starts, is is on the very front end. Really, I like to do it before it's listed, so that everyone knows what those surprises might be.
Well, I'm a guy that typically likes surprises, but this doesn't sound like a good one.
These will cost you a lot of money.
Yeah. So, as always, Elizabeth, you've prepared us for a great conversation today. We'll be right back with Elizabeth's guest and the Rowe Roundtable.
Are you ready to become a true hometown hero? Join our exclusive program at Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX and make a lasting difference in our community. With your Hometown Hero membership, you'll not only be invited on 2 separate podcast episodes over the life of your 6-month membership, but you will also enjoy a well-deserved recognition at every event sponsored by Hometown Heroes. Don't miss this opportunity to shine. Join today for just $99 per month and let your heroic spirit ignite positive change. No commitment required. Cancel anytime. It's Hometown Heroes with Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Rowe Report. Today, I have an amazing roofer and a good friend of mine, Alli Lamb, with Beautiful Installations and Roofing. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Absolutely. I've really gotten to know you through our networking groups and some things like that. But for our listeners today, I'd love for you to just kind of talk about your business, because you're the owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a company that you started, which I have to say I really love and admire. Anytime I come across another woman-owned business, I just have such admiration for the hard work and stuff. But tell us a little bit, just so our audience can get to know you, about how you got started. What makes you the pro in all things roofing?
Love to talk about it. So I've been in roofing for 5 years. My whole career is pretty much Northwest Arkansas. I came from a roofing company that was based out of Texas, and I brought them here, and being born and raised here, just automatically came in with connections and everything. So I got to amplify my career really quick, and about 4 years into it, I decided I'm going to start doing my own thing and working for myself, and I stopped making somebody else money, but I love it here. This is a great market. It's a moving market, especially for real estate, and so I feel super blessed to just be a part of this industry in this area.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, it's kind of the elephant in the room, but I have to ask it, and this isn't a gender question, or we're not getting into debates about that sort of thing, or feminism, or anything like that, but I have to say, Alli, it is unusual to find a female in the roofing business that gets up on those hot roofs and sweats, and but I know you do the whole thing. Tell us a little bit about what it's been like and some of the challenges that maybe you've faced in the roofing business, and just feeling credible in that regard, because I can identify with that.
Oh yeah, like 90% of the time I show up to somebody's house and they're like, "You're gonna get on that roof?" Like, was there a guy, is your husband in the truck? I'm like, no, I'm gonna get up there.
Yeah.
So I do have to work harder to earn the respect of the people that I show up to, but it's not far into it that they quickly see that I know what I'm talking about. So
yes,
it helps, and I'm sure you understand, sometimes we, as women leaders, we do automatically don't get the best.
There's not instant credibility.
Right.
We kind of have to pave our way with, showing up and showing that we know the information.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I just really do, as a woman-owned company, I'm really attracting a lot of other women into the company, and I love what we're creating and being able to have so many women pull together with the same goal, the same vision, and all of us love just changing the norm.
Yeah, that's really good. I love it. And your story is great. And the more you get to know Alli, you can't help but love her. She's fantastic. She knows her business, and is just a super great leader in her team as well. So let's just dive right in. So one of the most important things for realtors to do is to stay in contact with their sphere of influence, right? These are people that are maybe future customers, current customers, past customers, right? And a lot of times it can be hard to not make the client feel like you're bugging them, or at least that's the perception that we have. We think, well, you need to stay in front of these people, you need to help them. And we focus a lot at Rowe about before, during, and after the transaction, of being of service, right? And so one of those things that we do is we talk about how, homeownership isn't just when you sign the papers, that's it, right? And then you live there and you pay the mortgage and things like that. But there's a lot of maintenance that's required, right? There's a lot of upkeep that you have to stay on top of, or it gets out of hand and it creates bigger issues. One of those conversations that we like to have with our clients is, hey, when was the last time you had your roof inspected? And I don't mean just like a full house inspection, or not, oh, we've got an issue and there's water leaking, maybe we should check the roof out. But can you maybe help our agents that are listening out there just kind of understand that if they're having a conversation with their client and they want to talk to them about homeownership and maintenance in regards to roofing, what are some good key maybe buzzwords or thoughts that maybe these agents can relay to these homeowners to help them be able to know, well, oh, I didn't realize I needed to check on, for example, the boots on the house where, it's sealed, and around the plumbing vents, things like that. So can you kind of go into that for me?
Yeah, absolutely. I love a few of the things you said. I love that your before, after, and during the process is a big part of the way you do business, and it's a big part of the way I do it, and it most importantly builds the trust with the client.
Absolutely.
And if you're able to build trust with the client, then they trust you whenever you recommend things to them. Mm-hmm. So especially when it comes to their roof, something, a big ticket item like that, and different things within commercial real estate or real estate in general, being able to let your homeowner know, hey, I recommend you getting your roof sealed every 5 years.
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a piece of advice I've given.
Yeah. So every 5 years, your roof has to have the sealant around all of the pipe jacks and any plumbing stacks, vents, ventilation, whatever. All of that has to be resealed every 5 years to maintain warranty.
So that's like where is it silicone or some type of substance that seals the boot?
Correct. It does. It seals up the boot every 5 years, because that is one of the biggest issues that lead to leaking is around those systems. And a lot of companies, they're subbing out crews, and their crews are installing them different ways all the time. And, just there's so many issues with the nails and things like that. So with the insurance company, it's not as much of an issue, but with the warranty of the roof, it's an issue.
Oh. Mm-hmm. So there's stipulations in that warranty with a new roof for them to be able to, go back and have a warranty item fixed. It's
Correct.
Kind of like if you buy a car and you have an issue and you've not maintained the oil changes or whatever, it might void your warranty. You're saying the same thing.
100%.
No, every 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. What are some other things?
Also, when it comes to the roof, a lot of times agents should look at, they might not know the exact year that the roof was replaced. Some clients just bought it as is or whatever. Mm-hmm. So something like a good tip that I like to tell people is look at the streaking, the algae streaking on the roof. So if the roof has all that, like, you know what I'm talking about when it's dingy and it's streaking, that's algae. Typically, the algae means that the roof is a minimum of 5 to 6 years old at least. And it doesn't usually start forming until then. And so I say that because a lot of times if you know that there's been some hailstorms or some big storms within the last few years, but then you see the roof has that streaking and has that mold, then that roof probably has been in a hailstorm.
Oh. I had no idea. That's really good to know. I love that I'm learning here too, right? Yeah, that's really good info. So so those are great kind of homeowner and agent tips on, just knowing a little bit more about regular maintenance and having a roofer come out and inspect and just make sure everything looks good up there. I know people get hail damage and sometimes don't even know it, But if you're not at home when you have hail and it didn't make obvious signs, well, your roof might show it, right?
Right.
So, that's okay, yeah. On that note, if you do have damage, things like that, and you're looking at cost, or say that it's just an old roof, you need to make a replacement. What are some general things that you're looking at in regards to materials? Because I know there's several different materials that you can use for roofing as far as shingle type. And I know the list goes on even down to the type of decking that's used, things like that, right? So let's talk a little bit about those materials, and let's talk about cost, because I know that that's really what we're here talking about today, is how this is one of the most costly items, that can come up in a home sale.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different, obviously, ways you can go about it and types of materials you could use. But the problem within a lot of that is there's a lot of cheaper shingles that a lot of roofing companies will go straight into just to save money on that price per square, because we all in this town, we get about the same price per square. But, some people are going to want to go to the cheaper materials in order to get more money on their price per square.
Yeah.
And so we do use a high quality material. Typically when you buy something in bulk like we do, you do get a better deal on it. So we could use better quality materials in order to make sure your clients are getting along good.
What do you consider better quality materials?
I typically stick to something called Certainteed. Certainteed is a type of shingle that you can get at the supply house. It's a very quality material for a
It's
30
like an
year.
asphalt shingle, an architectural shingle, what?
Yeah, a 30-year architectural shingle is a common replacement item just because that's what insurance is typically going to pay to put back on.
I see.
They don't usually do upgrades. There is 50-year shingles. There's shingles that are weather resistant, presidential shingles. There's so many options, but those are all upgrades.
Honestly, I just sometimes in the beginning of selling would have thought, well, there's just different color shingles. I mean, that's how ignorant I was when I started selling real estate, right? It was just, not knowing these kinds of things. So that's great info. What else you got?
Also, when it comes to the roofing systems, there's something called a full roofing system. So that would mean that we would use the same type of underlayment, the same ventilation, the shingle, all of it's the same brand. So that would be a full roofing system. Whereas some people are using a different type of felt as opposed to the shingle, like they're different brands.
Oh, I see. So they might not work as well together because the shingle's designed to go with a certain type of other materials that are under the, I see.
Correct, and the warranties are different as well whenever you're using different brands and different things. And that's also something that a lot of roofing companies don't educate their people on.
Oh, that's good to know. So if I'm a buyer out there and, we negotiate that the roof needs to be replaced, these are specifications that I would want as a buyer to be in place to know that they're not just going with the cheapest, get it done, whether it's covered by insurance or not. I want to make sure that I've got a good warranty and that, to understand not just are we putting shingles over old shingles, are we, how far down are we coming, is the decking rotted, what, and then you're saying that as well as, is it how many year shingles did you say there's several different?
Yeah, there's 30 years, the common one, and then 50-year is,
On up there, yeah.
Yeah, that's
in cost,
upgrade.
Yeah. So in looking at cost, is there an easy way, and I know it depends on pitch and some things like that, how easy it is and how many different, I don't know, what would you call that? Is it just the different pitches that play a part in pricing?
Yeah, that does.
Outside of shingle and, yeah.
Right, that does play a part of the price. It's kind of whenever your crews are having to pull out harnesses and safety and different things like that for steeper roofs, price does go up for safety regulation. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to always put a number on exactly how much a price is, especially because how competitive we are in pricing, and I don't want to give any secrets away to other roofing companies.
Sure, yeah.
But
tell us how the sausage is made, Alli. So your competitor can go out there and do the same thing, yes.
Right, and another big perk of my company that isn't in others is we don't subcontract crews. So we have all in-house crew. So, when you're subcontracting, you're going to another owner of another company and working with them, and they're marking up the price, and so we don't have that issue.
Right.
So even though we're giving people a better quality roof, we're still almost at the same, if not a better price than most, so.
That's good, that's good. And we kind of touched on this a little bit with, I think we call them algae lines, or what was the word for it?
Streaking,
staining, things like that. So let's say that I'm an agent and I'm going on a listing appointment and the seller doesn't really know much about the roof. They just knew that it had one when he bought it. What are some things that I'm going to be looking for, or even if I'm representing a buyer, what are some things that I might point out to my buyer to say, hey, this roof looks like X, maybe we should go a step further and see if we can have a roofer come out and look at it. What are some things that they should look for?
Yeah, definitely. So something that I kind of train my newbies on, that is something that any homeowner can look for, would be dings in the gutters, and that's called a collateral damage. Anytime you find metal damage, you're probably going to have roof damage as well, unless those gutters were really old and the roof has been replaced since, obviously.
Sure.
But even just the black marks that you can see towards the bottom of your roof, the hail hits are kind of, you'll see the granular loss. Sometimes you can even just put a ladder up to your gutters like a homeowner can and look in the gutter. And if there's a ton of granulars in the gutter, which is those little rocks on top of the shingle, they'll know that the rain's been washing away granulars and there's probably a reason for it.
That's really good. I've never thought about that. That's a great kind of telltale sign.
Yeah, so collateral and then looking for just that missing granular loss.
That's good. That's good. And what about, waviness? I know a lot of times you'll go to an older property and you'll see some, a roof that's kind of wavy looking.
Yeah, that could be multiple things. Sometimes especially if it's older, there's decking issues and the soft spots kind of create the waves.
For the people that maybe don't have, a lot of experience, can you explain decking and how that works? Not to ask a question about the question. Just want to back it up down to the fundamentals here.
Yeah, so a lot of times the nails, when they're placed into the shingles, depending on the way that the rafters are and the way that they place the shingles or the pitch, if it's a lower pitch, then you're going to want to have the nails placed differently. So sometimes that rain can steep back up under the shingle and go down into the nail and then start causing that decking to just be really soft.
Yeah.
And so that also happens around the ventilation as well. So those are the two common areas.
The ventilation in the attic.
Yeah. So you look on.
Or the ventilation on top.
The one on top, but it does connect obviously in the attic. But the whirly birds, they spin at the top. We got turtlebacks. Those are the slant backs that are like more flat.
Yeah.
But those are the areas you get leaking around just because there's opening in nails. And then typically if the pitch is lower, then water gets under the shingle and goes into the nail and causes soft spots.
Well, that's all really good. We're talking about venting and some things like that. And a lot of people say, well, I've got vents, or my inspector said that I need more venting on top. Why is venting so important?
Yeah, ventilation can cause a lot of issues. If you don't have enough or proper ventilation, then that heat just gets trapped in the attic. And then the granulars actually do come off very fast and easy. It just traps all that heat. It gets so hot, the shingles just kind of just disintegrate quickly. So a lot of times
it's not just, you're going to have a hot attic and that's terrible, don't put anything valuable up there. It's actually going to affect the roof is what you're saying.
Correct. There's going to be blistering and you start seeing the fiberglass matting and shininess and things like that. If you ever looked at an older roof and it looks shiny, it's probably why.
Yeah.
So it's really important.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, it's due to venting, lack of venting.
Correct.
That's great info, Alli. Man, you've really just provided some great info for our agents. Anything else that you want to either touch on or that you feel like, because I don't know what I don't know, right? So is there anything that maybe we've not talked about that you feel like would be of use to agents or homeowners or otherwise?
Yeah, maybe just having the basic knowledge of what it takes to get a roof processed through insurance. So one of the kind of ways I just explained it to homeowners is what you're looking for is 3 faces of the roof, so north, south, west. And you're looking for a 10 by 10 square with around 8 to 10 hits within it. And that typically totals out a roof in completion. Yeah.
That's great to know.
Yeah, so
Any 10 by 10 section that has, how many did you say?
8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Only a few insurance companies are more sticklers. Like Allstate wants to see 15. We call them all snakes. But typically all of them are around 8. Yeah, around that range. So if we find that, we can get it processed through insurance. It's really an easy process. It's called an act of God claim, and so it doesn't penalize homeowners the way that they think it does.
Because you can get dings against your score or whatever that makes you a little less insurable and maybe raises your rates.
Correct, yes. So with the hail damaged roofs, they could raise a whole zip code. So if all the roofs in your area are being put on, a bunch of new roofs, then they're going to raise the rate of the whole zip code. But whether you personally put in a claim or not, that's going to happen regardless.
Right. Well, let me ask you, and we had, on our last episode, we had an insurance guy on, and we had touched on some roof stuff, right? And so he had suggested that if you're going to make a claim on a roof and you're going to have an adjuster come out, and you want to usually have a roofer come out and meet with the adjuster, get on the roof with the adjuster, and really be an advocate for that client, right? So can you tell me a little bit about your business? Is that something that you guys do? What does that process look like?
Oh, absolutely. 90% of the time that my homeowners don't have us present, their roof does not process through. And I don't know how much to put on the air, but I do know that some insurance adjusters, they get paid to deny claims. Some get paid to approve claims. So they're really the only way you can have a safe bet that your roof is going to get assessed properly is to have an advocate, like a good roofer on your side.
That's really good. That's really good. Well, Alli, thank you so much for joining us today, and I really appreciate the information and the experience, and just I love your expertise. And guys, if you've got a roofing need, man, Alli, she's fantastic. Thanks for joining us today, and I look forward to meeting you right back here next week for another great Rowe Report.